Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast for this official Survivor Series 2020 preview and prediction show. And tonight, we've got someone completely new that you've never heard from before. Her name is Mimi. She's a longtime listener and brand new part of the WWE podcast team to join me for nearly 2 hours of the Survivor Series preview and prediction. Of course, we also talk about SmackDown and the current product, how she got into wrestling, and introducing you guys to her at the top of the show. And she'll also be starting her own show starting next week with the highs and lows of WWE. So really looking forward to that, and I think you guys will be as well. So without further ado, let's get everything started right now.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, the most passionate and authentic wrestling analysis on the web. We've got you covered with every Raw, SmackDown, and NXT show, giving you a no bullshit opinion. We know you love wrestling. We do too. So let's get this show underway.
And that's the bottom line. What? 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. We've got a massive show for you tonight with Mimi Burris, who is joining us tonight to talk about WWE Survivor Series 2020 and preview predictions. And yes, we talk about SmackDown a bit at the beginning of the show and a little bit on her personal journey as a wrestling fan, which is a blast. And she's just a pleasure to talk to. 2 hours nearly of discussing wrestling with her, which felt like 20 minutes. So I think she's going to do great things here. I hope you guys will support her and her new show that will be exclusive here on the WWE podcast starting next Sunday. She will be doing a highs and lows of the week. I like that. You know, it's like one of those, like, how did I not think of that, right? So, certainly smart and well-spoken, and I'm really looking forward to having her as part of the team here. Let me know what you guys think, because having a female voice too doesn't hurt, right? Like, seems to be all guys. It's a very male-dominated podcast industry with wrestling especially. So very, very cool to hear her, hear a wrestling fan's perspective, being a woman, right? Does the same thing interest her? Does the same thing for the women's division? Does she view it the same way I do? I mean, it's great. So I hope you'll help me join her in welcoming her to the WWE podcast team. So, alrighty. Well, we've got a big show, as I said, and a bit of an announcement. Many of you have responded to me and said that you'd like a live show. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, we'll still keep the voicemails. That voicemail number is not going to change. That voicemail number will remain the same. And I will still do voicemail shows. So there's that. However, when there is something big going on, like a pay-per-view, or a massive news story breaks, I want to be able to hear you guys. I want to be able to hear your voices. I want to be able to respond in real time. No safety net. You should hear all the edits I do. I mean, sometimes I just ramble on or I say things I shouldn't. So it's going to be fun to hear me with no net. And here's what we're going to do. Blog Talk Radio. I still have an account there. I reactivated that account. And I expect everyone to donate $5. I'm joking. So I have that account. I did reactivate, and it is a live format. If you haven't followed me before, you don't know what I'm talking about, blogtalkradio.com. Search out the WWE podcast, and you'll see my logo there, and you can call in. Now, here's the call-in number for the live show, not for voicemail. Voicemail is going to remain the same. But for the live show, which I will be starting tomorrow night, following the pay-per-view. It starts at 10:30, so hopefully, I'm kind of banking on it. I scheduled it and locked it in. Hopefully by 10:30, Survivor Series will be done. These pay-per-views seem to be getting a little bit shorter, and some have ended around 10. I'm banking at 10:30. 10:30 tomorrow night, I'll be going live to take your calls. So that number is 516-387-1528. That's 516-387-1528. So call in, and you'll have to press 1 on your phone. It'll prompt you, or maybe it won't. I can't honestly remember. And if you press 1, you'll get into the caller queue. Okay, so hopefully we get some callers. If we don't, okay, no problem. I mean, like, I'll keep this for like a month or two, see how it works. Maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. But I want to let you know I did listen, and I've got Blog Talk Radio back, and you can call in using that number. So that will be immediately following the pay-per-view, which I hope is around 10:30. And then following that, the Botch Guy will be joining me, and we will be doing a full Survivor Series review. So that is going to be coming your way by early Monday morning. You'll see the Botch Guy and myself cover the entire pay-per-view. So that'll be a blast. We usually run about an hour on pay-per-view night. So a lot of podcasting for me tomorrow night. A lot of fun for you, I hope. But that's what's going to happen. Podcast or live shows will remain or be restarted, and the voicemails will remain intact. So how about that? Best of both worlds. So again, 516-387-1528, and go to blogtalkradio.com and search out the WWE podcast. You'll see the show created for tomorrow night. And I'll also be putting out a link on my Twitter feed, which is wrestling_audio, and on Instagram at wrestling or WWE_podcast. So I'll be trying to get it out as much as possible. But if you just search it out on Blog Talk Radio, you should find it. And by the way, go follow the Botch Guy on YouTube. If you haven't, what are you doing? Right? If you're a wrestling fan, you love YouTube videos of wrestling, head on over to YouTube and search out the Botch Guy. Him and I, again, will be doing a live show tomorrow night, at least in our live format, not on the Blog Talk Radio format, but recording live tomorrow night for your Monday night and Monday morning review of Survivor Series. So head on over to YouTube, though. Super fun to watch his videos. Posts almost daily about wrestling. Quick watch. You don't have to commit 30 minutes to it. It's usually like 2-3 minutes tops, and just a very, very magnetic personality. You'll see what I mean when you go there. So if you haven't, you do yourself a favor, head on over to YouTube, search out the Botch Guy, and hit that subscribe button. So, alrighty, let's get to Survivor Series with Mimi and myself getting into, again, SmackDown at the beginning, but all Survivor Series towards the back end with our predictions that we don't agree on everything, which is great. So you'll have to hear that. And again, tomorrow night, guys, I'll be back. I'll be live following the show. Head on over to Blog Talk Radio. Find the WWE podcast. Follow us, and you'll be able to get in to the caller queue, and we can discuss Survivor Series. And I have a feeling it's going to be a lot to discuss. Good, bad, and indifferent. So, alrighty, guys, you know the deal. I'll talk to you next time. All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE podcast, and we have a special show tonight, not just because it's the Survivor Series Preview and Predictions show, but also we've got someone new that you guys have never heard from before, but I think you will be glad that you did, and you will continue to listen to this individual. Her name is Mimi Burris, and she is a longtime listener to the show. We're going to be having her join the team here, not just for tonight, but also for the coming weeks, where she will be doing a weekly highs and lows for that week in WWE. So, Mimi, welcome to the show. It's really, really exciting to have you here, especially have a female voice on the show. I think that also is definitely a plus. So, how you doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm excited. I was thinking about, I'm grateful that we got this to work out, and I was thinking about just, I thought about, emailing you and asking you about that idea for a little while, just because, we were talking about before, I've been a closet wrestling fan for a long time, and there are not a lot of people, in my life that I can talk about wrestling with. And so, to get a chance to therapeutically just air out some frustrations, right. And some stuff that I really liked in the product right now, is a great opportunity. Yeah.
That's what I always say. I mean, if you've listened to me, it is therapeutic. There are so many fans out there that we have maybe the one friend that kind of likes wrestling or generally follows it, but they're not as passionate as you and I are, or our listeners, because they aren't listening to wrestling podcasts. They just kind of maybe watch Raw or SmackDown here and there, but then they show up for the pay-per-views. So this is exactly that. It's a therapy session. It's kind of like people are metaphorically sitting on my couch, right? Like I am your therapist, and we are all together on this one big couch talking about wrestling. And so exactly right. So I guess in a way to kind of get our listeners to know you a little bit, how did you come into wrestling? What are your first memories of wrestling?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all very blurry, I think, because I started wrestling or watching wrestling when I was young, like that kind of that young enough where you can't remember most of the stuff, just little pictures from here and there. But what I can tell you is I remember John Cena. So I would say like the best way to encompass it is John Cena was probably my Hulk Hogan, if that makes any sense. And oh yeah, a lot of John Cena, being young and being a young girl who loved John Cena, and then growing up a little bit and understanding a little bit more, and then finding people like there was CM Punk, but I'm talking about like long hair CM Punk, like ECW CM Punk, and that terrible rendition of WWE's ECW CM Punk. Like those kind of pictures coming to my mind. Original Miz and Morrison, with the fedora hat and those terrible shorts. We're talking like, Jamaican Kofi Kingston. Rey Mysterio was my favorite when I was young for a while. Randy Orton. So that's probably about kind of the main time I started watching. I know that's probably a little all over the place, but those are all the memories that come to mind. And then, being able to go back and watch things, I used to spend my time like just on YouTube, such like a dork, looking up, I loved watching anything Evolution for the longest time. I just thought Triple H and Randy Orton, Batista, and Ric Flair, I thought that was so well done. And so I would just kind of like, hop back and forth from all these random Evolution segments and matches. And so that's kind of, I guess, how I got into it. I don't remember what the first thing I ever watched was. I couldn't tell you what match drew me into wrestling and said, oh, I got to have more of this. It was just kind of, that was like, I think the Ruthless Aggression era was kind of like your version of your Attitude Era.
That's exactly what it is. And that's not a bad era to come up in. I know people look at the Attitude Era as the gold standard of wrestling. And yes, it had an absolute all-star legend roster on it. And it was a TV-14. It was a different time and place. And but at the same time, the Ruthless Aggression era, even the tail end and beginning of the PG era, which is when you came in, it still had some big names in there. Like you said, I mean, it was headlined by John Cena. You had Randy Orton. Of course, I know you did see Evolution, one of the biggest groups of all time. It's really not a bad time at all to be coming into wrestling. And certainly, you look at today's product, you fast forward, my gosh, 15 years later, and you still see some of those same people here, right? Like Randy Orton, still here, still looks like he hasn't aged a day. I mean, so it's a much different product now, but you came in at a really good time, I think. And yes, John Cena is your Hulk Hogan, right? Like that's exactly what he is. And he kind of was that wholesome, pretty much say your prayers and eat your vitamins type of character. I mean, he was kind of that. He really was, which I think turned a lot of the, quote, hardcore fans, which is how they labeled me, growing up in the Attitude Era, seeing Stone Cold drink beer, flip people off, to the John Cena kind of soft version of what Austin and Rock were, which is why I think a lot of the men rejected him and continue to reject John Cena, and why they rejected Roman Reigns, I think, for so long as well, kind of the heir apparent to John Cena, being that soft kind of PG, corporately created babyface. Although not now, Roman Reigns I think is doing the best work of his career. Period. All right. So, what are your favorite do you have a favorite matches? I know that it's kind of a tough thing to ask because there are probably over 15 years or however long you've been watching. Certainly, you have a lot of memories. You have a lot of different things that you remember, that you love, and you're looking up on YouTube, as I am. But do you have a favorite match and or matches? Or moments, I should say, as WWE would like to say?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's such a tough question to answer too, and I hate to give like the stereotypical answer of the first HBK Undertaker match at WrestleMania, but I also, it's like to go beyond that. I would say remember when they had you'd have to order the DVDs to watch these pay-per-views, and so I remember we had the WrestleMania, and I couldn't tell you the number, but the one with Big Show and Floyd Mayweather. We had that like DVD set, and we had those TVs in the back seats of your car. And so we would, when we go on a road trip or something, we'd watch that in the back seat. And that was probably one of my favorite pay-per-views. I don't know if it's just nostalgia, or, actual good matches, because I'm blanking on any other match on that card right now. But I do remember loving watching that. And then I guess, I got, again, a DVD. I remember for Christmas one year, my brother got me a Rey Mysterio DVD. It was like a 3-part DVD, and it had all, Rey Mysterio was like walking on a beach, and then he would introduce you to one match, and then you go to the next one or whatever. And to be able to go back and watch his matches with Eddie Guerrero, and I couldn't even form words when that was going on. Some of those matches I think are probably one of my favorite matches of all time. And it seems like a cheap answer because, like I said, I never was able to watch something like that live. But I just remember loving, being a kid and loving, Rey Mysterio was like a superhero. Nobody could just hop. There wasn't all these like flips and dives and stuff like there is today. Like he was one of the few who could actually really do it well.
So, yes, I mean, the flips and dives, I mean, you know how I feel about all that stuff, Dave. But to answer your question, I mean, that was WrestleMania 24. I was going to cut in, but I wasn't 100% sure. I wasn't sure if it was 23, 24, but I did Google it just so everyone knows. It was 24. And, the Floyd Money Mayweather and Big Show match, not to review it, but I think that match absolutely outperformed what a lot of people may have feared would have been a total disaster of a match. I love that build. I do remember that very well. Edge and Undertaker, I believed, headlined that for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I believe Undertaker captured it that year. So, yes, I do remember that on a very foggy spring break in Panama City when I was mid-20s. It was a very foggy time for me. But, yeah, I mean, I remember that very well. And so your memories, while you say, I mean, it is, I agree. It's hard to pick one match, hard to pick one moment, but it's really a collection of moments that you have that kind of bring you into wrestling. And while it is a tough or it's a difficult thing to come across in today's product to have those moments, when you do have those moments of like, oh my God, and you get drawn in and you get chills, you're like, this is why I love wrestling. I mean, this is why I am just forever a fan. And the latest for me was probably last year's Royal Rumble with Edge's return. But did you have or recently have had one of those like, oh man, this is why I love wrestling? Have you had one of those moments recently?
Yeah, this is such a stupid answer, but it's so funny. So I'm a nanny now and like a glorified house cleaner. So essentially for the beginning half of my day, I'm alone and I get to clean and take care of some animals and whatever. And so I can listen to, podcasts or I'll put on like just random pay-per-views and I'll go through maybe like 5, 6, 7, in a random year. And then I pick another random year and I just kind of like follow the story from then. And I watched, and again, I'm going to blank on the pay-per-view, but it was only a couple years ago, and it was an Alexa Bliss match versus Naomi, and it was right before WrestleMania, so it must have been Elimination Chamber or something, and I think it was 2017. There was a brand split, like a real brand split, and Naomi, it wasn't a great match. It was a botched finish, she messed up, but like afterwards, it was the first time she won the title. And the crowd's chanting, "You deserve it." And it's like this heartfelt moment. And I'm like, I don't cry. I like the dog commercial, with the Pepsi dog commercial with the horse or whatever that commercial is. Like, I'm just not like one of those people who gets emotional about that kind of stuff or movies or anything. But like that moment had me welling up for some reason. And so it's like those random, like you said, those random times when like, I don't know, it just hits something in you or hits home and you're like, oh, this is why I watch. Like, this match, again, the match wasn't great, but the story of this person who tried, worked really hard. You watched her in the Funkadactyls, what a mess that was. And to be able to see, and like, it all culminates that moment. It was cool. And so what a weird thing to pick, but I just remember watching that and being like, oh, yeah, that's like, again, brought me, like my eyes got watery.
Mm-hmm. This is exactly why we watch wrestling, right? Like, and it's the same reason we all watch TV shows or movies that draw emotion. We're human beings. We are emotional by nature, and when we don't have emotion, it's hard to get attached. It's just very superficial, which is why I'm not a big fan of putting so much emphasis on athleticism and so little emphasis on story, because story is what draws out emotion, not necessarily the superficial moves in the ring. Those are just vehicles to tell the story, but if you don't have something underneath it, it's just kind of meaningless. So, I totally get that. I mean, I totally get those moments that just kind of happen. So, I guess, because I haven't asked you yet, how have you been faring in this COVID era with no fans, given that the belief is, and I think it's accurate, that the biggest superstar ever are the fans? Because without the fans, it is, I don't want to say it's soulless, but at first it kind of felt that way with an empty performance center, now known as the Capital City Wrestling Center, I believe. It felt very lost. It felt directionless or soulless. It kind of is. I mean, it is what it is. And now they have the Thunderdome. They're, I guess, going to Tropicana Field in a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, to go into that arena for the Thunderdome and eventually maybe bring fans back, is what I'm hearing. So how have you been watching wrestling? Has it been harder for you to watch without the fans physically there?
Yeah, it's miserable. We were just talking about this today. We've fared fairly well in the whole, in this pandemic with our personal lives. But so it's like, talk about a privileged thing to be able to say. Probably the biggest hit in my life in this pandemic is the fact that my favorite thing to watch, like you said, the soul's been taken out of it. And I appreciate everything they've done, whether it's been like the creativity of just taking the the NXT trainees and having them as fans and the Thunderdome and all this stuff. I appreciate it, like the pumped in audio and stuff like that. It makes it a little more bearable. But what was I just watching? Again, I go back and watch a lot of just random pay-per-views, and I just watched the 2015 Royal Rumble one where in Philadelphia, where Roman Reigns wins, and to hear again, just to hear even if it was cheering, but just to hear the absolute like unity of this entire arena, booing this guy. It reminded me or whatever, like, oh my gosh, I miss that. Like, I miss that genuine reaction like that. WWE can't tell me who I'm cheering for or who I'm not. These people like voicing their opinions on the spot, not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter too, but like, it's just lost without it, in my opinion. So I'm itching for when, they can bring fans back in. Obviously I want everybody to be safe, and that's the first priority. Like, my viewing pleasure falls behind that, but I miss it. I miss it a lot.
It is tough, and we've adjusted as fans, I think. I mean, at first we were all, not just in our personal lives, just totally disheveled, but in our entertainment lives, it became difficult to watch, especially when they were constantly shooting at empty chairs, and you could hear actually like the announcers not only on their headsets, but it was being picked up by the cameramen. So it was kind of like it was doubling down on, and a constant reminder of how empty things are. And again, I'm with you. I'm appreciative of everything they've done. They could have shut it down. Vince could have shut it down and said, look, we'll be back when this thing's over. But knowing Vince McMahon like you and I do and most of the fans do, there was nothing that's going to stop Vince. He's of the mindset that the show must go on. I mean, they are always of that mindset, and I appreciate that. And it's drawn not always positive feedback, because there's a lot of people who felt it was insensitive for him to continue, that it was unsafe for the performers to be there. And I think while there have been a couple of outbreaks, and as expected, there haven't been any massive casualties or any casualties that I know of that have resulted because of them continuing operations. And I think if people appreciate it, because people need an escape. And I think that's what they think too, is that the fans need them more than ever. And I'm with you though, that reaction, that instant feedback, I miss so much. And I agree. Pumped in audio, fine. Like they are doing what they can. I wish that it was real. We all wish it was real, and they have the fans there on the LED boards, and that's fine. And that is the best that they can do right now. But like you said, that example, and I bring up that 2015 Royal Rumble a lot because it points to the time that I thought they should have turned Roman heel, period, and just left it there. But even The Rock couldn't save Roman that night. I mean, The Rock, a returning Rock, could not save Roman. They were booing everybody. That I will never forget. So thank you, Philadelphia. That was beautiful. But that is what I miss. It's that instant reaction, that connection that you feel at home with the people that are in that arena. And yes, there is Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat. I mean, there's a million social media applications, but it's not the same. So yes, the soul needs to come back. I don't know when it's coming back. Do you have what's your guess, right? Like, what do you think will happen with WWE? Do you think they'll slowly try to roll the dice and bring people back? Or do you think they'll still kind of hold back and wait for this thing to, quote, be over, if there's ever such a thing?
I think they will definitely be the first, quote unquote, sport that brings fans back in an arena. I think, before basketball, hockey, football, anything else, I think they will probably be the first, again, use that term lightly, sport that brings fans back in the arena. But I don't know. I'm at the view of trying to be not pessimistic about this, but just taking. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than disappointed again, and having someone say, "Oh, this is all going to be over next month," and here we are, 7 months later or whatever. So I don't know. I'm hoping at least by the Royal Rumble there's some organic fan response, whatever that looks like, like vocal response, because that, again, to talk about a pay-per-view that feeds off, that countdown and the reaction from the fans. So I don't know when, but my hope is by January, but I doubt that's going to happen.
I know.
So
and I'm with you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm just, I keep doing landmarks in my mind of, okay, well, maybe by SummerSlam, right? Like they got to have fans try to be there by SummerSlam. And now we're at, Survivor Series. It's kind of like the beginning of the road to the Rumble, which is the road to road to WrestleMania. They got to have people at Survivor Series. Now we're looking at the Royal Rumble and we're like, oh, well, how people are not going to be there? That's just going to be so weird. How do they have countdowns? I mean, they'll pump in the audio, of course, but it's just not the same. And then how do they do WrestleMania? They can't not do it again this year. So at least that's the way my mind is working, is like, they got to do this, right? Like how? But I don't think it's WWE driving this. Certainly not. It's the Florida Health Department. It's the overall perception of the organization. I'm sure if they just went full bore, people would, I don't even know if honestly they'd pack the arena, because I'm sure fans would actually still be hesitant. But I don't know if they're concerned about a PR pushback of, wait a minute, this is so irresponsible of WWE. And, they're very sensitive of that, and rightfully so. But yeah, I think the bottom line is we all miss fans. I know that I'm sure the wrestlers miss us as well, because they are born for that reaction. They're created from that reaction. They live for that reaction. Their whole character is built around crowd reaction. And when they don't have it and we can't be there to supply it, it's really hard. And I'm sure we're all in the same boat. I could say that pretty confidently. But as we get into Survivor Series, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the specifics of the matches and your thoughts on what could happen, and my thoughts as well. But before we do, SmackDown happened. SmackDown happened last night, and what did you take away from that? What are some of the key items that you maybe wanted to chat about before we get into Survivor Series?
Yeah, I don't know where to start, right? I think not to start on a low note, but the first thing that comes to mind is, I guess, that we're talking about the 5-on-5 elimination match, the men's elimination match, and I was of which I think many other people were too, from what I gathered, were of the presumption that Big E was going to be the last man on the team. They'd have some qualifying match and we'd watch it figuring Big E was going to win, and then they just appointed Otis as Adam Pearce just said, Otis, I admire your story, or whatever he was saying. I admire your story and your dedication, or I don't know, whatever he was saying, and put him on the team. And I don't know if I was disappointed. I guess my thoughts were like, if SmackDown's going to take the loss at the pay-per-view, then I'm okay with Otis being on the team, because I don't think I want Big E to take a loss like that. But I was confused. I guess everybody else seemed to have to qualify. Seth Rollins had to qualify, and Otis is just appointed on the team.
That is something that I'm glad you brought that up, because if in WWE has gotten lucky many times over the last 7-8 months, however long the pandemic's been going on now, for things that they did on TV that fans weren't able to be there to tell them, no, this is a terrible idea. And they're able to just kind of play while the parents are away, for lack of a better analogy. And that's exactly what's happening here with Otis. I think they've heard fans loud and clear that him being the Money in the Bank briefcase holder was a bad idea, given the presentation of his character, which I could go on for many, many hours about how terribly they have managed Otis. But you're right. I think this is a bad choice by WWE, not just because Otis doesn't deserve it. He's been on a losing streak for a while. He hasn't exactly been at the forefront of any championship opportunities, and he has been really just relegated to kind of a comedy side act. He's been just this guy who wears tight shirts that he shouldn't, and he likes to eat food, and he says, "Oh yeah." I mean, that's what he does. I mean, we're all supposed to laugh, but if there were fans in an arena here, I think, and they were able to react genuinely, they would have booed Otis here. I think they would have booed that choice, given that people wanted Big E. I wanted Big E. Why he's not in this, I don't know. Why Big E continues to hang on to his New Day character, I don't know. It's just hanging on to something he's not a part of anymore. So, I don't understand it. I don't know what Otis did to deserve it, which is nothing. But we are here, and I don't know. Is there any positive that could come out of this, of Otis instead of Big E?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I can think of is two people, right? Chad Gable and Otis, who were organically liked by fans before, the terrible Shorty G thing happened, and Otis, was out of heavy machinery and whatever all that shenanigans was with both characters. I think two guys, right, Chad Gable and Otis, who were, like I said, organically liked by fans. I think it's going to be really hard for WWE to present something that isn't going to get over with these two guys, because like I said, people seem to gravitate towards both of them, before they were meddled with, and so I think, again, like whatever, I think it seems like he's doing some kind of coaching thing. So whatever this gimmick is, I think it's going to be really hard for WWE to screw this one up.
Yeah, it will be. I just don't know why Big E and his evolution of character has not happened yet, and not even like a little bit. When he was away, or New Day was away and injured on SmackDown, and he was kind of on his own, and it was like, oh, here we go, finally we're getting a singles run from Big E. And we started to see some moments of hope where he was starting to kind of evolve as a character and not just be this over-the-top cartoon character who's concerned more about, I don't know, throwing pancakes and things. And then we got the New Day come back, and he's back to being the Big E character from New Day. That's the kind of the spin-off, or what's the remnants of New Day on SmackDown. And I was hoping when that happened, hey, at least let's see some progress every week. Let's see if Big E is able to show signs, small signs of hope that he could change and that he's evolving, and we haven't seen that yet. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way that they've portrayed Big E so far. I know many people find it entertaining, and that they enjoy the over-the-top, cartoonish type of gyrating and everything else that he does. But if he's going to have a successful singles career, something has to change. And I don't know when they're going to do this. Even Corey Graves on air said that if he wants to have a successful singles career, he needs to get serious. And so it's acknowledged. I'm sure they're hearing it. I just don't know what they're waiting for. Even if Big E took a loss at Survivor Series, he could have had a good showing by eliminating 2, maybe even 3 guys on the Raw team. Like, they could have done something that made an impact even in a loss.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I was thinking, I thought Vince would love to see, Big E and Keith Lee in the ring together, or any of them, right? Because it's mostly those four big men, in the ring against Big E. I thought that would have been something that Vince McMahon would have just been salivating over. But I guess Otis is a second to that. But yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I think the big change is going to be when the music changes. And I know it seems like a small thing, but I mean, even if it's like a remix of his, New Day music, so it's almost like just a baby step. But I think once the music changes, he's got a little bit more of an identity for Big E.
I think so too. And speaking of, and I guess I'm transitioning kind of hardly here, but as far as Alexa Bliss goes on Raw, she had a music change. It came after her character change, but Alexa Bliss, which I didn't even talk about on my Raw review, had her music change to like this darker, just bass heavy type of cynical version of her music. I loved it. So my question, how do you like Alexa Bliss joining Bray Wyatt and The Fiend in this new duo?
Oh, I love it. I think it's so good. On Raw, that bump that she took with John Morrison over the barricade, I thought was hilarious, but also awesome. And the way she came up with that smile and she like tightrope walked the barricade over to Bray Wyatt. I think she's getting a lot of like, flack for her acting. I think she's doing a great job. I mean, I don't think, these people are wrestlers, right? They're not, I wouldn't call them actors. And I think she's doing a great job for where she's at. I think it's completely breathed new life into the whole Bray Wyatt, the Fiend character. I don't know where they're going with it. I'd like to see, I'd like to see more of her, less of her as a sidekick, if that makes any sense. Like, I think she could be a candidate for the Women's Championship. God knows the Raw Women's Championship needs a little highlighting. And I think first, though, I want to see a match against Nikki Cross. I think, let's flesh the Alexa Bliss character out, not just as like the Fiend sidekick, but like her own, creepy, maniacal self.
Yes, it needs to happen. Nikki Cross needs to I'm not going to say she needs to go away, but this program needs to happen so exactly what you said. She can shed the skin of her former self. And it almost feels like that Nikki Cross is the heel in this. And that's weird to say, given that she logically has a right to wonder what's going on and try to help a friend. But you're so intrigued by what's going on with Alexa and Bray that you're kind of siding with Alexa to beat her up. And it's not that it's designed that way, but it's kind of like they're tapping into a part of me, and maybe you and other fans, that it's like, well, yeah, Nikki's kind of right, but this is also what Alexa's doing, and I want to see her beat Nikki up. Like, I love this. It's weird. Are you feeling the same way?
Yeah. I think if there were fans in the arena, she would definitely be getting cheered right now. But at the same time, I have to say they're not doing a terrible job of making me feel sympathetic for Nikki Cross. I think it's just like you said, Alexa Bliss is doing such a great job, and she's so intriguing. Like, I don't want to call her like the cool heel, but she's fans appreciate good work, whether it's in the ring or not, and I think that's exactly what she's doing. So I agree. I think I don't want to call them a tweener, but it's almost like they're both the Fiend and Alexa Bliss are almost beyond being in a category of a babyface or a heel.
Yeah, and I traditionally am not a gray area exists all the time type of deal, especially for a specific character. Usually I like them to be in one category or the other. Traditionally, that makes sense and has been successful for many, many, many years in all forms of entertainment, having good versus evil. I mean, it still works today. It's not something that is going to ever expire, so to speak. It is something that traditionally works. However, with the Fiend, he is exactly that. They haven't ever really positioned him hardcore in one category. He's just kind of been what he is. He's not good or bad. Yes, he's an evil character that apparently is brainwashing people and able to hypnotize people and able to possess people. But at the same time, you're rooting for this character because it's so original, so cool that, yeah, they're beating up somebody I like, but damn, it's kind of awesome seeing them do this. This is entertaining, right? So it is exactly that. I think WWE has recognized that, and The Fiend has never really gotten booed outside of last year's Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins. That was just complete dumpster fire with the finish. Outside of that, I don't really see or hear when we had fans, if we can all remember back that far, when fans were in an arena, I don't remember The Fiend ever getting booed, to my knowledge, outside of that one incident. So this is a great place, not just for Alexa, but I think The Fiend as well, because The Fiend, I think, needed something additional. Even though he was doing good on his own, good to great, he started to feel a little stale, and the Bray Wyatt character needed something. And I think as great as this has been for Alexa, I think conversely it's also been as good for Bray Wyatt and The Fiend to kind of feel fresh again.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you've mentioned it before. Just he's kind of a character that is better in little doses. I want to be excited when I see him on my screen. I don't want to see him every week. And so I guess with that, my rough transition here into the Undertaker at Survivor Series. With Randy Orton coming out and Alexa Bliss was the one to greet him. I think a couple weeks ago on Raw, and it's kind of been a theme. Do you see, I know you've been talking about, you think The Fiend is going to interrupt The Undertaker. Do you think Alexa Bliss could be the one to come out? Or I guess if you're in your dream booking situation, how would you book this at Survivor Series?
So, oh man, I've been really mulling this over because there's so much that could happen, but at the same time, there's so much that could not happen, and it's just a very straightforward 30 years of The Undertaker, thanks man, have a good day, everyone's coming out to make their tributes, and have a good night. Like, it very well could be that, and no shenanigans, and it's boring. Like, it's kind of a boring send-off. But if I'm WWE, and I'm Mark Calloway, I would be thinking, hey, it's November, late November now, we have to just get to Mania, which is 5-ish months away, and let's think of something to just do one more time. This is going to be it. We'll close it out at Mania and call it a day. Win, lose, or draw, fans in the arena or not. And I don't know how if they don't take advantage of this, I don't know why they wouldn't. I've always said that WWE and Mark Calloway, who's always willing to give back to the business, why would they not want to promote the hell out of The Undertaker's final match all over social media, pump it out in the news outlets, and squeeze every last viewer and dollar out of their audience as they can? They're a for-profit company. Why wouldn't they want to do that? So I'm still of the belief they're going to do this, and if they don't, I'll kind of be disappointed if it's just a generic, okay, send-off, and he does his pose in the ring and the show ends. I will be kind of disappointed. Because we're so close to Mania, why not make it happen? So here's what I'm going to propose. Here's what I would propose if I was Vince and Mark and all the creative staff. Everyone comes out. They do their tributes. They come out and they talk at the Taker, and he's kind of like the hybrid of the Dead Man, Mark Calloway, and Big Evil, American Badass. He's kind of like all three, which is what I think the version we'll see from Mania this year with the Boneyard match. I think it's going to be that same kind of guy. And they'll all come out, and they'll throughout the night, maybe they'll tell stories and do video packages of different moments and things. And then at the end of the night, Taker comes out, he does his pose, maybe he gets interrupted, but it's just to say thank you. And you think that things are over. And then you hear the Fiend's music. You hear that, whoo, like all the lights come down, and Alexa Bliss shows up, as you said. And she just looks at Taker, comes out, and looks in his eyes and said, he's here, kind of like Poltergeist, like that whole rip-off of the line from Poltergeist, and just looks at him, and the Fiend appears behind him, hits the mandible claw, and very safe bump, obviously, because there really is no bump that's needed from a mandible claw. Taker's left in the middle of the ring, the Fiend standing over him with the announcers in shock, silence to end the show, where it's just, there's not even any words needed. The Fiend is just standing over Taker looking down as the show goes off the air. Like, that's how I would book it.
I love that I can hear Michael Cole's "Oh my God" in the back of my head. And I think I would probably do the exact same thing or similar. I mean, my only fear is, though, if they do this, right, and for some reason, or, you know, if we're not able to have fans in the arena by WrestleMania, is that this is a cinematic match. But I guess the one caveat I could say to that is I could see, like you said, him coming out kind of more in a big evil badass Undertaker, you know, character. But then, right, we have that theme of the Fiend changes people. And so, you know, my thought or whatever is, if he's going to come back at WrestleMania, come back as like the Dead Man, the Undertaker, like the guy who came out when they inducted Paul Bearer into the Hall of Fame and came out, you know, as the Undertaker, even for a moment like that, like stayed in character. That guy, you know, and have the Fiend, you know, change, for lack of a better word, the Undertaker back into the, you know, the Dead Man for his final farewell.
Yes, you know, you're probably right, considering that in 1990, when he was introduced and joined by Brother Love, Brother Love being his manager, he came out as the Undertaker. So it would make sense that he would come out as the Undertaker, not just at Survivor Series, but also to end his career. I mean, that was the most successful version of himself, and I think you're right. But that's how I would book it. Now, I wouldn't put money on that WWE does this. I mean, there have been rumors floating around that this is truly it. It's just kind of a tribute, and we all say goodnight and thank you so much for your service, but see you later. I mean, if it happens, again, I'll be very disappointed. But again, it's Taker, so he you know that if you watch the documentary series about The Last Ride, which is one of the best documentary series I've ever seen with wrestling ever, that he would continue until his body said no. Like, it's not the drive within himself, it's his body that's limiting him. So, you know that the desire is there from Mark. You know the desire is there. It's just, can he do it? And I think he could, but what he'll struggle with, from what I've seen from the documentary, is that will he be satisfied with that? And I think he has to, in his mind, be at peace with whatever happens in this match. Win, lose, or draw, good match, bad match. This is the end no matter what. And I think that's the struggle he's going to have if they go through with this, because you know that he's always going to be like, oh, I can't end it like that. You know, I wasn't fully satisfied with my performance. I got to do another one. And he doesn't want to have that, you know, especially if it's his last match. But I think the struggle with him is going to be internal and understanding, yes, this is it. It's going to be the best I can possibly put forward, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
All right.
Again, that's great.
No, go ahead.
Did you one with Paul Bear too and the Brothers of Destruction? I mean, unbelievable.
Oh, I saw both, the Mortician and the Brothers of Destruction, and it's awesome to see Undertaker, after being so quiet and being so protective of his character, to come out and just unleash this wave of doing Stone Cold's podcast and doing the 5-part documentary on The Last Ride and the Brothers of Destruction and the Mortician. I'm sure we've got way more coming too, and it's great. I mean, this Undertaker has generated so much interest and so much content for the WWE Network. It's fascinating to hear from him, the guy that's been so tight-lipped about his career over the last 30 years, to come out, and probably the greatest of all time. I mean, yes, you could say Stone Cold generated more money and he was hotter. I'd agree. You could say The Rock was a bigger star, and I would agree. But the man that's been there the longest, that has stood the test of time, and that has earned more respect than anyone in the business ever, and has had the longest running character, successful character of all time, is The Undertaker. I would say The Undertaker is the greatest of all time. I really would say that. I mean, of course, a very subjective topic, but so getting back to SmackDown, I know, again, there's are things that happen on SmackDown, but I also want to jump into Survivor Series, the actual matches and predictions. But are there a couple of things that you wanted to touch on with SmackDown before we get to Survivor Series?
How about this for a transition, I guess? The Natalya and Tamina match, for the qualifying for Survivor Series. I was thinking when I was watching this, I was like, man, this is going to be, you're going to have your first ever rant about Tamina on the unofficial WWE podcast. Because I love Tamina. I think Tamina's great. I mean, I don't know why she wrestles in a leather jacket. I think that's terrible. But I think she's so underutilized. And like, I'm sitting here watching this match and I think, Tamina's been around for a while. And I think she's got the look, and I think she's decent in the ring, right? She doesn't even have to be that great in the ring because she's so big compared to the other women. And I was rooting for Tamina in this match to get on the, not that it was going to go anywhere ever, but I mean, like, even that little run she had with Bayley on this past year, I mean, again, showed a little bit more of where Tamina, who Tamina is. But so I was upset. I thought that, Natalya went over Tamina. I thought they were going to go for the 0-for-3, on Natalya. And also, like, with that being said, too, talk about someone who's been around for a while, Natalya. I am so disappointed in the way that she's been booked. I think, like, again, I was never a Natalya fan personally. I don't like her personality, from what I've seen outside of WWE as well. It's just not my kind of person. But like, that's not, neither here nor there. I think that she's got a lot to give, whether she's just like the grizzled vet who puts over new talent. Like, why are we using her as like, this 5-year-old throwing tantrums? I mean, she stomped her foot at Adam Pearce on SmackDown. Like she was throwing a tantrum. This is like a grown woman who's been, the only female graduate of the Hart Dynasty, It was like, just all around disappointed in the use of these two women.
I'm really over Natalya. I like you said, especially at least the way that they're presently presenting her. It's not becoming of somebody I would want to cheer for. And apparently she's supposed to be the babyface in this contest with her and Tamina this past week. And yeah, she made Tamina tap out. But the way that they've used her, not just this week, but it's a pattern of many months, if not years, that she's been booked like this. Where, I mean, number one, she's a terrible actress. I mean, bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she cannot act at all. It's so superficial, and it's like the harder she tries, the worse she becomes, and I think that's where she's at. In the ring, look, I have so much respect for Natalya. I mean, obviously her heritage and her family, where she comes from, is one of the biggest wrestling families of all time with the Harts. Absolutely, no problem there. It's just, again, her acting is atrocious, and if I have to see, like you said, a grown woman throw a temper tantrum and wear cat ears down to the ring, like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't get on board with somebody like that. She's kind of boring at the same time. Like, there's not a lot of depth to her character. She's shown flares at times of, you know, she's cut good promos in the past. Let's be honest. She has cut really good promos in the past, but this current iteration of her is really unwatchable. In the ring, again, she's very good. There's no question about that. And having Tamina in there as well, Tamina's kind of like the person that, I don't know, WWE is hiring part-time. Like, she's there, gone for 4 months, randomly shows up in a women's battle royal, wins it, goes away, comes back. I think that Tamina needs to, WWE needs to shed the perception that she is kind of like Nia Jax light. Like, she is the kind of the Nia Jax wannabe, or the like, I don't know, 2.0 version 2.0 of Nia Jax. I get that feeling when I see her. I'm like, oh, that's. I mean, I always think of Nia Jax and Tamina. They have similar body types. They have long hair. They have similar features. So I think she needs to differentiate herself by, you know, giving her a microphone. Like, they don't ever let her speak ever. She just shows up, usually loses a match, and goes away. And lost very quickly to Natalya. So yeah, I wasn't big on this match. And like you said, her throwing a temper tantrum like a 5-year-old, and she's a grown woman who's been in WWE for 10 years. It's not endearing.
Yeah, no, not at all. I would say the same thing. Give her a mic, or, you know, Tamina, give her a mic, or give her a talker. You know, I mean, we lost Zelina Vega. I mean, think about that pairing would have been great. You know, I think about, again, like, if you compare, you know, someone like Tamina or Natalya, even just like in-ring skills, to some of the women on the roster or some of the women on the Survivor Series teams, like, they're much more serviceable, I think, you know, than Alana, who's going to be supposedly is this big baby face in the Survivor Series match. Like, again, I just, you know, because she's not blonde, or, you know, has lip fillers or Botox, you know, she's not getting the spotlight. I really think, you know, I think they could do a lot more, and you know, typical WWE, they're missing something here. And I don't think anybody looks into it, because, like you said, I think Tamina is just kind of like the part-time Nia Jax, or I love that, Nia Jax light. I mean, you know, they are both, I think they're both part of that Samoan dynasty. I mean, do something with that, you know. Put her in that faction with Roman Reigns. God knows, you know, I don't even know if she's, they're both on SmackDown. Not that the brand split means anything, but, you know, do something.
They just, yeah, I don't have faith. While we could sit here and talk about the potential of both women, which I think is a real potential, they probably look at, meaning WWE, creative / Vince and upper management, look at both Tamina and Natalya as kind of the old guard. They look at them, especially Tamina or Natalya, as kind of like the old guard, and they want that shiny new toy. They've always had that shiny new toy syndrome, especially Vince McMahon has. And they've got all this talent sitting in NXT waiting to be potentially called up. They've got a younger roster, and you look at these two women, they're not exactly spring chickens, and they've been around a while. So I don't have any faith that, outside of kind of being that the doorkeeper or the gatekeeper for incoming talent to beat and start a foundation from and get us actual credible win over, I don't see them ever being the center of the women's division, just simply for the fact of there's too much other talent. And I think that WWE thinks they know what they already have in Natalya and Tamina. I think they believe they've already squeezed as much juice out of that as they can, and that this is not something that we think we can get much more out of. We know what we have. They've been here forever. That's probably the way that they have solidified and cemented their position in WWE. I think they have a very confident opinion about where they are. So we could sit here till we're blue in the face. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm very, very hesitant to ever say they'll do something with them significant. So, okay. So one thing I want to talk about SmackDown too. How can we not talk about the contract signing with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns? And they were invited to SmackDown, so at least we got the explanation that, okay, they were invited. Who they were invited by, I don't know who. Apparently, Adam Pearce is running everything without explanation, and no one told us why or what kind of official he is. He's just a WWE official. I don't think that's a real title. He's just a supervisor. I don't know, but he just kind of all of a sudden came out of the woodwork, and he's running everything. I will say I enjoyed the segment with these two. The biggest thing I liked about this was that they weren't on the microphone that they were holding. It's like they were having a conversation that we weren't supposed to hear. I really like that. I don't think they would have been able to do that in a fan setting because the fans would have been too loud, but in an empty arena with just LED boards with fans, they were able to do this. I really liked that small thing they did because it made it feel a little bit more real. So that's the first thing. What did you think about this segment?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great, and and how they've really been paying attention to like you said, like little details, the no microphone, the way Roman Reigns was looking at Drew McIntyre the entire time. I feel like he looks at everybody just like with these patronizing, stares. And this little thing I saw, and I don't even know if they meant to do it on purpose, but I was thinking like the promo last week, Drew McIntyre said, that he thinks of it as an honor to be a champion, and Roman Reigns, feels entitled to it. And you see, like, Drew McIntyre comes out, dressed for the occasion. He's got a collared shirt on. He's not in a suit and a tie, but he's got a collared shirt on. He looks nice, and Roman Reigns comes out in his t-shirt, and same thing. And I was thinking, again, just like those little details. And I don't know if WWE creative is being that detailed, for lack of a better term, but I think I noticed it. I appreciated it, and I love the dialogue between the two of them.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good point about the attire that they were wearing. It subconsciously, I think, registered with me, but I didn't actually bring it to my conscious part of my brain until you mentioned it about the attire. And yes, it's almost as if Roman Reigns had disrespect written all over him right from the get-go by not even caring to dress for that occasion of a contract signing. And Drew actually took it a little more seriously and had more respect for the championships, where we had Roman Reigns just kind of come out like he had just been, came from the gym and he just put his shirt on and just strolled into the arena. And I like that as well. That's a good point. And it is the attention to detail that is making this whole thing work. And simply for the fact that Roman Reigns feels infinitely more comfortable than he did as babyface. It's literally like we're seeing the man Joe just kind of come out on wrestling. He's no longer Roman Reigns. He's Joe Anoa'i, I think is his last name, if I pronounce it correctly. We're seeing Joe come out and just be himself. And this is what I've been waiting for. And fans have been saying, see how awesome this is? And we are getting an awesome version of Roman Reigns. To Drew's credit, I think he stacks up very well against Roman Reigns. Their dialogue was awesome. The ending, I guess the money quote was that Roman Reigns left it by saying, "Drew, you will always be my favorite number 2." That, I mean, does it get any more disrespectful? And yet he's constantly commanding respect, and he's always disrespecting the people he's in the ring with. I mean, this is brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I had that same line written down. Roman Reigns he's just so plays the part so well, like you said. Like, it sounds like he's just being himself. I think this is how fans seem to have viewed him for however long, and just like being masked by like this, John Cena wannabe babyface, but like this is the man underneath. And I don't know if that's the story. I'm sure he's a great guy, but he is so good at just being a jerk. And like I said, like I want, when he comes up on my screen, I was telling you before, my girlfriend is a casual fan who kind of just tunes in for the pay-per-views and from time to time. And when she sees him on the screen, she boos, she gets mad. And when I see him on my screen, like I want to hit him in the face, or I want to see somebody hit him in the face like that's how I'm supposed to feel about a heel. He's not like a cool heel. Like he's a jerk. I don't like the character Roman Reigns, and it's like they finally got it right.
That's it. That is what people have been missing. That's why so many people love the Randy Orton heel turn, but the continued heel run and brilliant heel run that he had in the spring and summer that got, I think, short-changed by Keith Lee and several losses to Drew McIntyre. But when you feel that way about a heel, that you literally you would pay to see them get their ass kicked, then you have done your job. WWE has done their job. So heels like Orton and the brilliance they did with him over the summer, and now Roman Reigns, you don't feel this way very often. How many more heels in WWE could you name that you would actually pay money to see somebody beat them up? It's a very short list. And when people get angry, I think that's an emotion that WWE really underestimates a lot of times, because literally their mission statement, they will say how many times over and over and over, I think it's tattooed on Stephanie's forehead at this point, that we put smiles on people's faces. I mean, she said it 300 times during the WrestleMania Part 1 and Part 2. She says it in every press conference she does. It is just, it's really just stomach churning how often they say it. So when people get angry at characters, that's money. People, it doesn't always have to be a happy ending all the time, because when you have a hot heel, guess what's it's going to create? Hot baby faces. You want that dynamic. You want to have that feeling of, oh my God, I want to see somebody just pound their face in. That you want anger, because it creates a build towards that release of happiness. Like, that's what you want. And we're getting it with Roman Reigns. It's more brilliant by the week. Jey Uso being his kind of lackey and servant now is great, not just for Roman, but for Jey Uso. How much more relevant is Jey Uso now after just a month of working with Roman Reigns and the awesome story they told with Hell in a Cell? I mean, so everything Roman's touching and everyone Roman Reigns is touching right now is just turning to gold. And credit to Roman Reigns, credit to WWE. And how many people actually thought this? Let me ask you this. If you were presented with this Roman Reigns heel turn storyline and Paul Heyman was put with you, you would have probably thought, wow, it's going to be key that we have somebody to talk for Roman, because it's not exactly his strong suit. Paul Heyman is going to be a perfect fit because he's going to be able to, turn people against Roman if they start to cheer or whatever. Paul Heyman's been almost a non-factor. When's the last time that happened? Could you have imagined Paul Heyman being put with somebody and Paul Heyman is actually almost not needed?
Yeah, I mean, the only person who comes to mind is, I guess, CM Punk. But I mean, I don't even know if he was really, you would consider him a Paul Heyman guy, but he's so good on the mic that he didn't really need Paul to talk for him. And I mean, I think this is the same thing. I mean, their interaction, right? There was no physical interaction, and like that's how good, right? Like each promo was. There was no one needed to punch anyone or put someone through the stereotypical, right, contract signing announce table to build towards the match. It actually, I think it helped that it was just, verbal between the two of them, that, no one was hitting anyone. And I agree. I think I've been watching Talking Smack from time to time too. And Paul's the co-host with, I can't remember her name. She's not Keila Braxton. And I mean, he's hilarious on it, but he's taken on the role too. He's like barely talking on that show too. He's really kind of taken a back seat and let Roman shine. And I think Roman's really filled the shoes. I mean, who would have thought? Like I said, it really does. It feels like Roman is playing himself, and like all these, these 6 years or whatever, he's been, playing somebody who he's not.
Well, he has. I mean, I've actually met Roman Reigns in person. We met at the mall here, the big mall that's near Albany. And he's exactly the way that you would imagine. He is a very laid back, kind of like humble man. But deep down, you're probably thinking this guy's got a big ego and is arrogant, but will never show it. Which, I mean, if you do, you do, and you don't show it. I mean, I guess it's all speculation. But you just get that sense, and you're like, oh, you would be such a good heel because you could let it out. And that's what I feel like I'm seeing is the face mask of the babyface corporate creation has been lifted, and now we're seeing more of what we thought was there anyway that came across through this mask of this corporate creation, that it's like, stop with this facade Let's see it, what's underneath, because we know what's underneath is more authentic. That's what I feel like we're seeing in this version of Roman Reigns, which is why it's working so damn well. So you talk to anybody or listen to any interview of really big stars, they will tell you in wrestling, they'll tell you that the most successful characters in wrestling are who they really are in real life turned up to 10. I mean, like really, really, like obviously magnified. I mean, of course, they're not going to be, going out. Austin's not going to be going out and flipping people off on the street and, dumping beer on them. But it's like that. You take that piece of you that's there and magnify the hell out of it. And that's what I think, and why Roman Reigns is so successful, and why I hope and pray that they do not cut this heel run short. I want to see Roman Reigns heel for, a year, 2 years maybe, because what I think is going to happen, and I'm going to ask if you agree, and if you don't, I'm very curious to hear your opinion on this, is after this heel run is over, do you think that he will, when he turns back babyface, be the level of the babyface, the size of the reaction that Vince has been really after to begin with will happen? Like, do you think turning him heel will actually make him the biggest babyface the company has, to the level that they hoped he would be at when they first enforced the 6-year run babyface character down our throats? Do you think that's possible, or do you think that when he turns back babyface, it'll kind of just be like back to the same old Roman Reigns kind of mixed reaction?
I think if he's got a good partner, but I think that there's definitely high chance of a successful babyface run, just because you think about like all the big baby faces in history, most had started off as a heel. I mean, even John Cena, we were like the doctor of thugonomics for a while. I mean, people were booing John Cena. He came out, he was like a annoying little, white rapper. Like, it was perfect thing for like the male demographic at that time or whatever, to be booing and hating. And then right then is able to turn into a babyface in this weird WWE dynamic where you need time to be able to hate someone before you're allowed to like cheer for them. And I think like I said before too, right? Like, the fans appreciate good work. And so seeing Roman Reigns put in like this amazing, like we said, like an amazing heel run, good work in the ring, good work on the mic, right, is only going to do, it's only going to be for his favor when he eventually turns babyface. But I'm with you. I think this heel run is so good that I can't even picture a babyface run. And I think that's the exciting part about it. I'm with you too. I hope it goes for a while. And I'm wondering, like you said, I don't want it cut short. Do you fear the fate of Randy Orton happening to Roman Reigns? Do you see, if Drew McIntyre goes over Roman Reigns, do you see that heel heat, dimmering?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think, and I guess we'll get into our predictions in a minute, but without giving away my prediction, I think if Roman Reigns loses, I think that would hurt him more than if Drew McIntyre loses. So, I mean, I guess I'll leave it at that to keep you guys hooked to my thoughts, because I don't think that's a match that's actually super easy to predict, but it's a match that, because I think there's a lot of possibility of interference in that match. No titles are on the line, so there's that removed from it. It's just simply personal. It's the best of the best. But yeah, for my limited answer, I would think Roman would probably lose something. I think he would lose more than Drew would if he lost. So I'll leave it at that. But is there anything else on SmackDown that you want to chat about before we get to Survivor Series?
Yeah, I mean, we can make it quick, and I guess I want to hear your thoughts on the hopefully what is the end of the Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins program and the Mysterio family.
Yes. Alleluia. I believe it's over. Pun intended to the Messiah. Alleluia. Yeah, I think, and this better be the end of it. And from all accounts I'm hearing, I mean, we have Becky Lynch who's due soon for her baby. So you would think that Seth Rollins maybe takes a bit of a sabbatical and takes time with his wife and his newborn child. And I think that's probably what's going to happen, given Seth Rollins is also on a decline in terms of professionally. I mean, he has lost a lot lately. He lost a big match at WrestleMania. He lost to Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. He's really not had any significant wins and has been stuck in this 5-month rut with the whole Mysterio family conundrum. What started out, actually, I started out really enjoying it, and then was just completely shattered and burned to the ground, resurrected and killed again. It felt very, very, very overrun, and I'm sure Seth felt the same way. We all think, oh, he's going to SmackDown, he's going to be, refreshed, and he's not. I mean, he's right back in. That program did not leave him, and now that it's completely over, I am thankful. I think everyone should be thankful that it's completely over, and we can move the hell on, and we can have Seth Rollins do something of relevancy, do something that is. Just ignore the last few months for Seth Rollins. This has been not good for Seth. I think it's been good for Dominic to show the fans what he can do, probably more than most people thought. And Rey Mysterio to stay relevant. And most importantly for me, Murphy, and we can call him Buddy Murphy on the show. I'm a fan of, calling Matt Riddle and Buddy Murphy. So, yeah, this has been really good for Buddy Murphy. I think this is going to help his career in a big way. He showed he can actually act a little bit. He has some range as a character. He's absolutely outstanding in the ring. And you pair him with Seth Rollins, I mean, you're going to get, you're going to get an automatic, 4-star match. Like, it's just guaranteed. And, I loved the fact that it's over, but I like the fact that Buddy Murphy has gotten a little bit of a foundation to build himself upon. And I do think that Seth Rollins is going to take some time off for his family, whenever that may be, and just reset and reconfigure and recalibrate his character and himself. And I think that's exactly what his character needs in a big way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought the match was amazing too, and I'm hoping that Buddy Murphy does not go into obscurity, or is able to bounce back from this. I don't know what they're gonna do, if Aaliyah is gonna follow him down to the ring. I don't know how they're gonna, maybe there's a Mysterio Buddy Murphy program. God help me. But like you said, I thought the match was amazing. The only thing that I was a little confused about, and again, I don't know if you noticed this too, but why is the heel, right? Like the Messiah, Seth Rollins, who had AOP and Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory for, a hot second. Why is he the one who's outnumbered? Just the entire Mysterio family came out with Buddy. And, I guess it was a payoff, but what a sad payoff on SmackDown before Survivor Series. That's the payoff to this 5-month rivalry, I guess. But like you said, I'm happy that it's over. I'm happy that Buddy Murphy got to shine a little bit in this rivalry. I hope they, give him something good next. I hope he sheds this Mysterio family in-laws gimmick he's got going on, and can continue to show the personality that he showed. Because I think he could really be just as good, maybe not just as good on the mic, but as he is in the ring, but decent enough where I think the fans would be behind him if we had him in the arena right now.
Yeah, they probably would be, because I think they would see the misuse of him right now and the tired storyline that they're in. I think, and the fans know what he's capable of, and they would, I think, revolt and start cheering Seth Rollins simply for the fact that you're right. I mean, they know, the fans know what's going on, and they would say, let's move on, right? And the dynamic that you brought up about Seth Rollins being outnumbered, he's the heel. I mean, I've been screaming that from the rooftops for the last several months that, look, Seth Rollins, not only is as a heel, typically, most of the time, you have the heel outnumber the babyface. That's just kind of pro wrestling 101. But on top of it, his character calls for other people to follow him. He's the Messiah. Well, where the hell are his disciples? You had, yes, AOP, which I think were awesome fits with Seth Rollins, and I really am just sad that not only did they get injured too soon, but then WWE released them. I was hoping that upon their return they would come back with Seth and we're off to the races again, and obviously that's not the case. And then Murphy and him started to have some kind of scuffle. Then he's back with them. He's not. Then they fight. Then they're back. And now they took the hard split. They are done. Like, that is good. But at the same time, not only does a heel normally have an outnumber the babyface, but also if you have a character that really calls for you to have people, considering you're a messiah and you need disciples, it's double the hit here on Seth Rollins, which is why I think that I don't know if he needs to drop the whole messiah thing upon his return after his baby is born and he takes over how much time he needs, but maybe he needs to just come back, with I don't know, like 3 people. I don't know who they may be, but he needs those heaters. He needs people to follow him. Otherwise, his character has no credibility.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that was, to me, like you said, it burned hot and it burned fast. When he came out with AOP. And again, I love the dynamic of, when someone was down, when he would come and pick them up and like get them at the weakest moment. I thought that was such a good heel move. And I don't know why they released AOP. I don't know why they went away with that. I don't know why Austin Theory suddenly disappeared and there was no explanation behind that. Maybe because they wanted this, Buddy Murphy rivalry and he was just a third wheel. I don't know. I thought it was really good for what it was, and I think it should have continued. I think, it could have been a much better thing than it was, I think, but like you said, I hope he gets to go away for a little while and comes back. I hope he comes back as the Messiah character, and I hope they get like a second try at this and he does it, better and longer this time. Because I think, not only does, Seth Rollins has that like look to him, but he like you said, he's got an annoying voice. He's just a natural heel, and he's like got a natural grimy like sliminess to him that fit with his gimmick of going, picking up people when they were down, recruiting them, for lack of a better term. It was like the religious undertones to it. It was all done so well, but so short. Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. I never felt like I got the full potential, the full fleshed out story of the Messiah. I mean, due to injury, obviously COVID didn't help. Then the firing of AOP, Murphy was kind of back and forth here, there, not there, gone. It was very wishy-washy there. There's been no solid, here's the group that Seth Rollins has. He's brainwashed these people. He came to them at their weakest moment, which is the most coward thing to do. And he basically he said that he saved them. I mean, all the psychology was good. The baseline was good, but they never fleshed it out. Like, they just kind of like willy-nilly, no explanation. Then Seth is on his own, and without people following him, how can he be a Messiah if he has no disciples? There really was no like solid follow-through plan for this. It was just, Seth Rollins has a solid character as the Messiah. It's like, but no, he doesn't, right? Like, I don't know. So, okay. Well, before I get on a rant about that, was anything else before we jump on Survivor Series?
I don't think so. You want to where you want to start?
Well, let's see here. Let's pull up the card, which will probably change. It always does. Every time I do one of these preview shows, WWE throws like a wrench in here where they put something on the pre-show that was on the main card, or vice versa, or they just add a random match before the show. But as it stands, late Saturday night, for those that are wondering, if we don't cover a match that randomly popped up, well, that's because WWE likes to throw a wrench in last minute. So I'll start off here with the very first match on the card. Team Raw. AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle. I can't say Riddle. I feel stupid saying it. I mean, it's Matt Riddle versus Team SmackDown. Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and Otis. Oh my God, that hurts to say. In a 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. Take it away, Mimi. What do you think?
I have to go with Team Raw on this one, just because I think Team SmackDown can take a loss more so. King Corbin that's just his MO. Kevin Owens has kind of been on that same trajectory. I think it could, spark something with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, failed to lead the team to victory. you said Seth Rollins is probably going away right now, and Otis again has been on that same path with Corbin and Kevin Owens. So I think when you look at the two teams, I think SmackDown is able to take this loss. But with that being said, though, I have to say, the whole stereotypical gimmick of they can't get along, on Raw, that could throw a wrench in my prediction. But I think it'll be, if anything will happen, it'll be something like that Survivor Series match. And again, I'm going to blank on the year, but Roman Reigns speared King Corbin. Oh, it was last year because NXT was involved. Roman Reigns turned on King Corbin, still managed to win the match, but there was some dissension, and I think that's what led into that what felt like a 4-year long rivalry between King Corbin and Roman Reigns. So that's my pick, I guess. Long story short, is Raw, and hopefully there's some kind of dissension in between, so we can take this worthless match and create some kind of story out of it, whether it's Braun Strowman and Sheamus, whatever it is, and we get a program going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm having flashbacks, as you mentioned, about Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns, with dog food being thrown on Roman Reigns. This looks like it's a solid win for Team Raw. I mean, just because, for some of the reasons you mentioned, when you look at the team, the makeup of the SmackDown team, Kevin Owens, WWE seems to just kind of put him to the side and elevate him to the mid-upper card and then push him kind of back down, and then he's not there, and then he's just doing a KO show. And the way that they've mishandled Kevin Owens is another story, but that tells me they don't really care if he takes a loss. You have King Corbin. How many times has he lost? I mean, his win-loss record has got to be abysmal. I got to look it up. Seth Rollins has been on the decline. Otis, we all know what I feel, and to some degree you feel about Otis. Jey Uso, I would say he's the only hot hand here, although he lost this past week to Daniel Bryan. So when you put all these guys together, it doesn't spell a victory to me. And when you look at Team Raw, not only does Team SmackDown have a lot of the individuals that WWE has kind of pushed to the side as of late, other than Jey Uso, you have Keith Lee, number 1, and you have Matt Riddle, number 2. Those two guys in and of itself would be enough reason to possibly push this team in the victory column, because you want Keith Lee to have a good showing. He's an up-and-coming star. You have Matt Riddle, up-and-coming star. You want them to have good showings and have a potentially big victory over Team SmackDown for whatever it's worth for this fake brand rivalry. Plus, AJ Styles has his associate. I wonder if he may or may not play a factor in this. I think he may. So this to me is one of the more predictable outcomes, which scares me when I see predictable, because I've been burned countless times on predictable outcomes. But I'm with you. Team Raw, I think, will pull this one out, and I feel pretty confident about this one.
Yeah, I think this will be the one if only match that Team Raw looks confident in taking out.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, this is just nothing more than the pay-per-view. I've said this before. This is like the bragging rights pay-per-view. Like, they might as well just rename this bragging rights, because there's nothing else on the line here. So, okay, well, on to the women's Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match. Team Raw, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce versus Team SmackDown, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and Natalya. I'm going to toss this one once again to you. What do you think?
I think that this Lana, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler table storyline has got more thought or detailed thought from creative than half the storylines, on that 3-hour show. I mean, they've teased us with it. Nia Jax has pretended to walk back to the back and then been like, nope, we're going to throw her through a table. Or, we didn't get it in the beginning of the show, and then later on in the show it happens. I mean, they have put more thought into this Lana going through a table than like I said, probably this entire pay-per-view. And so I'm guaranteeing that that's probably going to happen, right? Some kind of shenanigans with the announce table, Nia Jax and Lana. I don't think that the payoff for this weird rivalry is going to be at Survivor Series. I think they're going to wait till TLC and do some kind of tables match, which is a whole nother conversation. But because of that, I have a feeling that we're probably going to end up with a SmackDown win tonight, and not I know people are saying that Lana's going to come and have this cheap victory at the end or something, but I think you've got someone like Bianca Belair on SmackDown. I hope that they give her a big showing. I hope that they use this worthless match on a worthless pay-per-view to at least create some kind of star out of Bianca Belair. I think Liv Morgan is going to have some kind of flashbacks from the Elimination Chamber when she sees Shayna Baszler. And I think Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce are going to be eliminated in the first 5 minutes, because I don't know what they're doing with that. I mean, they broke up the best and few of women's tag teams on that roster to put Peyton Royce back on another tag team with Lacey Evans. So I don't get it. I'm so disappointed in this match. I mean, you look at last year's, I know they had NXT too, but some of the names on these teams, it's disappointing with all the women's talent that they have, with the lack of build that they've done for any of these women as credible wrestlers. But with all that being said, like I said, I think I'm going to have to go with Team SmackDown solely for my, false hope and creative that they're going to give Bianca Belair a good showing. What do you think?
This match is not easy. It's not as easy as the men's match to predict. And I have been saying for weeks, and I will stand by it, that I've said Lana will do exactly what you said she could do and pull out a cheap victory. She gets put through a table for the 10th time early in the match by Nia Jax after they have some kind of scuffle, and bam, she goes through, and we're all supposed to forget about her. And then Team SmackDown will eliminate the remaining Raw members, and it'll leave Lana left. And we'll go, oh my God, wait, Team Raw didn't lose. Lana never got eliminated. She's hanging out on the outside. That's right. And maybe she's able to pull off a cheap, like you said, a cheap victory and win it for Team Raw, the most unlikely person ever to, be the final survivor for the women's division. And that, I think, still is a strong possibility, but like you said, perhaps they do something here that maybe Lana costs Nia Jax a pinfall, and Nia Jax is eliminated, and then she gets angry, puts Lana through a table, Team Raw loses, and Lana is eliminated and then gets put through a table, and then we end up at a tables match, like you said, at TLC. I think that is also equally possible. I also think it's possible that you have Lana win, this is my official prediction. I think Lana still squeaks out the victory because of how hard they're working to bury Lana as an impossible victor in this match. Like, they are going to the nth degree to make her timid, to have her slam through a table every week, to try to, get some acceptance from her teammates. It's just, they are burying her character, which I really took as a sign of, okay, she's getting the win at Survivor Series. So I'm going to go with that, but they could still get to that tables match at TLC by having Nia Jax take her anger out, yet Lana wins, and Nia Jax is still angry at her, and Lana ends up, again, facing her at TLC. So, yeah, my story is Lana wins by hook or crook with a roll-up at the end of the match, or someone comes back to lay out the final SmackDown competitor, and Lana just kind of crawls drapes her arm over the person in the ring to get the victory, and you have the announcer saying, in the most unlikely of finishes, and Lana, I think, will end up being victorious. So, yeah, I'm going to take that. I know it's a popular opinion, but to me, I know it also puts another victory in Raw's column, but Vince has never been shy about Raw sweeping SmackDown at Survivor Series or getting a solid victory over SmackDown, because honestly, this rivalry again means nothing. There's no consequence. So I'm not even looking at SmackDown versus Raw wins, because there is no consequence. So that's my thought.
Yeah, you're slowly convincing me as you're talking, but I don't know. I'm again, maybe it's false hope, man, but I'm really hoping they do something. Again, the SmackDown team has Bayley. I really hope they don't have Bayley take another loss. I think they have one disposable in Natalia, but I'd like to see them do something with the Riot Squad. Maybe make them look like a viable tag team to challenge for the women's tag team titles. Like, I think there's a lot that they can do here to book for the future, and again, like I said, kind of a worthless match. I think there's a lot of possibility in creating some stories out of it, but we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, and I know you're concerned about Bayley or whoever, but Bayley as a heel could just leave the match in frustration. She never takes the loss. She just gets angry at her teammates and leaves. That way she's not pinned, she saves face, and she gets more heat for abandoning her teammates. So that if you're concerned about Bayley, I mean, that's absolutely a possibility. So, all right, third match here. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn, United States Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. I'm going to say, I'll take this one first. I'm going to say Sami Zayn wins. Not just because I want him to win, but because I think it's the right move. Bobby Lashley losing, I don't think would hurt him nor the Hurt Business. But with Sami Zayn losing this past week on SmackDown and how good he is on the mic and good at bragging, I think Sami Zayn should win this match. I'm expecting a very good match. Both men are very good in the ring. And storyline-wise, I think Sami Zayn can benefit more than Bobby Lashley winning. Even though I know he's attached to the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley losing, I don't think, especially if it's by some kind of hook or crook by Sami Zayn, who's the master strategist, as he called himself, I think you could see Bobby Lashley losing this from Sami Zayn's just underhanded tactics in a heel versus heel match. So that's also interesting that they've positioned it that way, but it is what it is with them being champions. So Sami Zayn wins. I feel fairly confident about that. What about you?
Yeah, I have the same pick as you, Sami Zayn, but I think that Sami Zayn could probably eat the loss more than Bobby Lashley right now. But like you said, I think Sami Zayn's gonna have what he did to Apollo Crews on SmackDown. I think it's gonna be some kind of hook or crook thing where Sami Zayn pulls out the victory and is able to, like you said, brag about it that way. Sami Zayn gets the win, but Bobby Lashley doesn't really take the loss. So you're not hurting either guy, kind of a cheap thing. WWE seems to love doing that, 50-50 booking. But I'm hoping they give him more time, but I honestly don't think, like you said, it's a heel versus heel match. I don't think they're going to get a lot of time to show off like an actual good match. I think it's probably going to be, under 5-10 minutes and Sami Zayn's going to pull out like I said, a cheap victory. But I'm with you. I think Sami Zayn's going to win this one.
Yeah, no question. And again, we all have to remember there's no championships on the line. It's nothing but just exhibition matches. I mean, this is just what this is. So that certainly adds a big factor to how I'm picking the matches, and I'm sure you as well. So, okay, another match, and this next one could certainly be the match of the night. I'm really looking forward to this again from a match-only perspective. Storyline doesn't really exist. It's all about the quality of the match, wrestling, the athleticism, which I'm always against, but in this case, it will certainly shine, and that is the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, who are the Raw Tag Team Champions versus the Street Profits, who are the SmackDown Champions. Who do you think wins this, and do you think this could be the match of the night as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all four men seem to have a good respect for each other, on and off camera, and they're all super talented. I also think what's it called? I think the New Day would be happy to put over the Street Profits, but in like a passing the torch kind of way. But I really, I think I'm going to go with a differing opinion than what I've heard mostly, and I'm going to say the New Day pulls this one off, and I think that because they just came back, they just split off from Big E. If you notice, most matches they had, it was either Kofi or Woods and Big E. It was rarely just Kofi and Woods in the match, and so I think they need to show some kind of ability to be a tag team without Big E. And I also think they're not ready to pass the torch yet. I think to pass the torch at a match like on Survivor Series just seems silly. I think like this is something, right? WWE is going to see something good in this match, and they are going to show it to us every week, probably on both shows, bury it into the ground, like you said, bring it back to life and kill it again. That's like an Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy kind of deal. So I think we're going to see the New Day win, and hopefully later on down the line, maybe in a year, maybe less than a year, you're going to have these guys facing off again, and then that's kind of when the Street Profits are going to take the victory, and hopefully that'll have some more relevancy or mean more. Maybe it's a unification match, maybe it's just for the titles, and there's some kind of another draft or trade or whatever they do. But I think the New Day pulls this one off. Clean in the ring, no hook or crook, just a great match, like you said. What do you think?
This one is not as easy for me to pick as it was for you, and I think it's because of in the back of my mind, it's for Vince anyway, it's the deranged syndrome of shiny toy syndrome, right? Like, and the Street Profits have gotten a lot more camera time as of late. The trend has been up for them, and how many times we have to see Montez Ford from the heavens jump off the top rope. Granted, it's an insanely high move. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anyone jump that high off the top rope. I mean, ever. And I've been watching wrestling for 20-some years. And so certainly the athleticism is there. I think it's going to be the shiny new toy syndrome for Vince. I really think that the Street Profits are going to pull this one off because New Day losing, they don't lose the tag team championships. So that doesn't really matter per se. And the Street Profits, again, seem to be getting a lot of on-air time. I think they opened SmackDown this week with their whole over-the-top delivery of their lines and everything else, which, again, I'm not a fan of. It doesn't mean they're bad, just not my taste. And I think the Street Profits have a bright future, and I think the New Day, WWE knows what they have with them. They know that they can take a loss because the championships aren't on the line, and that, like you said, this is going to be an ongoing program in the future. Given the fact that they're both on SmackDown and Raw, makes it a little bit more difficult, but WWE doesn't really care about their own rules when it comes to the draft because they don't have rules, or they just make them up as they go. So I could see these two absolutely meeting once again, and I'm sure that they wish they were all on the same brand. But I think the Street Profits pull this one out. From the heavens, we have Montez Ford probably pin Xavier Woods, who is the weak link. There's always a weak link on a team, and I think Xavier is that. So that's my thought on that. But okay, two more matches: Asuka and Sasha Banks, and then Drew and Roman Reigns. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. Take it away.
Oh, so before we get to that, I have to ask you the more important question about the New Day versus the Street Profits. You know, everybody's been talking about it. Do you think the Street Profits come out with blue solo cups?
Oh, please no. Please no. No, I know that is a just a earth-shattering question. I hope not. I don't like the solo cup deal, so but I wouldn't be surprised, but please no. Please no. Please.
You know those little.
Yeah. Do you think?
I don't know. You know what? This one I just can't predict. I think we're gonna have to wait and see. But on that note, Asuka versus Sasha, I think. Actually, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the their face off on SmackDown, which I know you've talked about how you're not a big fan of how Asuka's kind of become a joke, and I agree with you. I have to say, I popped at the John Cena "You Can't See Me." I thought that was hilarious. But I want to hear, I guess, your thoughts on that whole face-off interaction. I thought it was awkward. I thought Sasha Banks was not great on the mic. I thought that whole segment was bad. But I'm curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, it was cringeworthy at times. And I say this a lot when I see segments like this. I've certainly seen worse, way worse. But a segment like this, I wouldn't want somebody who I'm friends with to try to get them into wrestling to watch a segment like this. Like this is the opposite of what I want them to see if I'm trying to get somebody into this. And this was a little uncomfortable to watch because it was just not good. I mean, I'd give it like a D. I mean, it wasn't passing. It was just kind of like, I mean. Certainly seen worse, but this interaction, yeah, it was awkward. Asuka being the flamboyant, kind of screaming in Japanese, and the John Cena thing was probably the only thing out of the whole segment that was worth even discussing, because we had Asuka just being kind of just screaming Japanese until she gets to, and no one's ready for Asuka. I mean, like, she just does that over and over. And Sasha Banks, conversely, wasn't much better, as you said. I feel like she hasn't really found her promo voice. She found it a little bit during Bayley, during that whole, which I don't even think, I mean, I'm not trying to be down here, but I've buried the way that they've handled Sasha Banks and Bayley after a brilliant build-up. I don't think they paid it off very well. But this was not good. And having Carmella attack Sasha Banks for the third week in a row, I think was actually the saving grace of this whole thing. I know that people are down on Carmella. I am not. I am actually I'm more high on Carmella than most people, because I know what she was like as SmackDown Women's Champion. She was really good as SmackDown Women's Champion. People forget how good she was. And yes, minus James Ellsworth and all that nonsense. I'm not talking about James Ellsworth and all of that. But Carmella kind of repackaged in a way with her red latex outfit and her bleach blonde hair. Now it's not like, highlighted. It's just straight bleach blonde, is a nice distraction, and also bringing somebody into the forefront that was in the background for quite a while. It makes her feel fresh, even though she's been with WWE for quite a while. This was not good. Not good for either woman. I was not a fan of this. And if Sasha Banks calls somebody sweetheart one more time as if it's like some kind of backhanded compliment, I mean, it's hard to hear and watch, given I know the talent in the ring. And again, they're both extremely talented. So long story short is that my prediction for this is I think Sasha, I think Asuka wins, because I think Carmella interferes and screws Sasha Banks for the fourth time and really gets her attention, and Asuka picks up the victory, albeit a somewhat tainted one. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought about that too. I was thinking, but my thought was, I just thought, they're pushing Asuka as a babyface. Like, I know they've done it before, but do they really want to have her winning because of an interference from Carmella? I'm going to go, Matt. I think it's boss time. And I think Sasha Banks is going to take this one, just because they're now just establishing a new champion. I really think they've shown that they kind of couldn't care less about Asuka. If I were to book this, I'd be with you. I'd have Asuka go over. I think she needs a big victory. But I think WWE, like you said, has got that new shiny toy syndrome, and Sasha's kind of is the new big thing. But I did think, though, the only other saving grace to this match could be, and not because it's going to be a bad match at all, but just because, again, we've seen it before, could be that maybe, like, someone not Carmella interferes. Maybe we get a returning Charlotte Flair. Maybe we get someone else, from the Raw roster that we haven't seen in a while, returns. And again, I'm praying that they're going to use at least one of these matches to start a program afterwards, and but interferes and results in a program with Asuka. Give her something to do besides those. I thought it was funny, but that hilarious backstage segment with the New Day. But yeah, so I'm going to have to go with Sasha on this one, just because, like you said, new shiny toy syndrome. But here we go. We got that annoying 50-50 booking again.
I see your point, and again, this is one I also wouldn't put money on. I mean, any of these matches could go any way, because if there's no titles on the line, there's really no weight to this. This, to me, and I've said this just as you said, that this whole pay-per-view is to set up programs within their own brands. Like, there's going to be probably a lot of interference in a lot of these matches with their own brands, because if you lose, you can't go back to SmackDown, theoretically, or Raw, theoretically, to try to get revenge, because you're on a different brand. So that's exactly what I think is going to happen here. If Charlotte returns to screw Asuka and gets right into the women's title picture, very possible. Very possible. It's a babyface versus babyface. So if there's probably going to be interference in this, no matter who wins, it's going to be a tainted victory, because they're both babyfaces. I know that's not how you normally want to have a babyface win, but it's going to have to be inevitable that one of them is going to have to take a tainted loss, and one of them is going to have to take a tainted win. So it's either Carmella comes out to screw Sasha again, or, like you said, someone like Charlotte, who apparently is getting very close to returning, and I guess rumors are it's not till the Rumble, which I don't buy it. I think it might be earlier. Could Charlotte come back and screw Asuka? Yes. So I think there's a lot of screwiness in this match. Whoever wins, it's going to be tainted, and we move on, because it doesn't matter anyway. It's just to set up a program within that own woman's brand. I think that's exactly what it is. So I'm sticking with Asuka, but you're right. Charlotte could easily show up.
Absolutely. Before we get on to Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, you forgot the dual brand Battle Royale on the kickoff show.
That was actually at the bottom here. I did not forget. I don't have participants' names. Unless I missed it, I don't believe they've announced who's going to be in this dual brand battle royal. I don't know. Do you have any idea who's going to be in this?
I've never seen, or I haven't seen anything online about it, but my wild card pick is going to be, this is just an Andre the Giant battle royale kind of thing, and Lars Sullivan is just going to, eliminate every person. It's just going to be a Lars Sullivan pre-show.
I like it. Yes. I'm not going to dispute you. I mean, number one, I don't have the brain power or capacity right now to think about a battle royal that never matters anyway, much less on a Survivor Series pay-per-view, of which it means less. So, but yes, we have Lars Sullivan, who haven't seen in a while. He's just been, I don't know if he's too busy on Instagram messaging married women. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But Lars Sullivan probably wins. Yeah, I mean, sure. That's fine. Lars Sullivan has been kind of MIA, but good candidate. I mean, I have no rebuttal to that. Like, sure. Okay, well then, if that's it, then we're in the main event here. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. I'm going to let you. I'm going to bounce the ball to you. Do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it before, and I think I'm with the majority on this one, that I think Roman Reigns is going to take this one. Like you said, I think Drew McIntyre can probably take the loss, or it will hurt Drew McIntyre less to take the loss, but I don't think it's going to be a clean victory. I don't remember the last time Roman Reigns had a clean victory. I think you're probably going to see like one of those low blow kickouts, or I don't think we get another person interfering. The only thing I can think of is Drew McIntyre. The only way Drew McIntyre is going to win this match is if Jey Uso comes out, trying to help, interferes, tries to help, and either causes a disqualification, which I really hope. I want to finish this match, whether it's hook or crook. I want, a pin or a tap out, but maybe Jey Uso comes in and either causes a disqualification or tries to help Roman, somehow gets in the way. Again, I don't have the brain power right now to give you the whole situation, but and somehow Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre either ends up hitting the Claymore and getting the 1, 2, 3, or the most deadly finisher in WWE, the small package.
I'm telling you, they should just make that the finish. I mean, you've heard me talk about it. There will be somewhere in this card a roll-up finish. You can bank on it. No pun intended. But yeah, look, this is a match that if you've heard me and my listeners have heard, it's not all about me, but I think the general feeling for fans, which I'm trying to be a voice for not just myself, but for fans, is that this is a matchup that people want to see, but why are we seeing it right now? Right? Like, I am willing and I'm wanting to wait to see this match because it's a match that I have really thought about, and like, oh, these two were kind of on parallel paths. They're going to just have an absolute explosion when they meet, and they put them on a pay-per-view that means nothing in a match that's just exhibition. They could not have executed this worse in terms of having a meaningful first match. And yes, I know they had a WrestleMania match, but a couple of years ago, but that was really something that was not in the same stratosphere. Like, they're two different people now. Drew and Roman Reigns have gone through transformations from where they were at that point, but it's happening. So we're in this exhibition match. I'm not happy about it. I'm happy. Like, I want to see this match. It's weird because I want to see it, just not right now. And I'm just more patient, I guess, than maybe some. And so it's happening. I've just kind of accepted it. And that means that, is there a screwy finish to this? I'm looking at all of these thinking there could be screwy finishes. And meaning, does someone interfere? Does someone, like you said, Jey Uso, does he cause a disqualification? Does Randy Orton, God forbid, come out and hit an RKO on both men and leave them laying? And, maybe Roman Reigns comes up first, hits a spear, and wins. I really don't want to see Drew and Orton again. I'm done with that for a while. I think most people are, and I think that's the way they kind of presented it on Raw this past Monday, that this was it for a while. Does Sheamus come down and screw Drew McIntyre for a Roman Reigns win? I think that is probably the most likely, is we have Drew McIntyre lose. And I know Sheamus has been kind of friendly backstage, but I think he's been a little too friendly with a heel and babyface being friends. The question is, does this happen at Survivor Series out of nowhere where he hits a bro kick on Drew with a referee distracted and Roman Reigns wins? Or Does he inadvertently cost Drew the match? Or is Sheamus not involved at all? But I think Roman Reigns wins ultimately, yes. It's just a matter of how. And I don't think it's going to be a clean victory over Drew McIntyre. Somebody will be pinned. I just don't think it's going to be a clean victory for Roman. I don't think that Roman should lose right now. I am of the belief that he should not lose for many months. I love heat building for heels. I am a big fan of building heat for heels, and Roman's got something special right now being a heel. And to have him lose to Drew McIntyre would blow off some of that heat for no good reason. They're not on the same brand. It's not WrestleMania. There's no reason to do this right now. So, yeah, Roman wins, but somebody's going to screw Drew McIntyre. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Sheamus. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, I hope like you said, it's a pin or a submission. I don't think either one of these men are going to tap out, but I hope it's a pin fall and we're not going to get the main event ending in a disqualification. It's just been so much, again, just 50-50 booking. Nobody can beat someone else. We all have to be on the same level playing field. Even if it's got to be by hook or crook, I hope we get a 1, 2, 3.
I think we will. I think, especially if it's the main event, I think fans would. So you'd have Twitter blow up. Like, people would not be happy given that. I know there's a lot of people out there who want to see this match, myself included, and you have it end in a DQ. There's times to do DQ. I have nothing against DQ. It's there for a reason. The finish exists for a reason, but not in this particular instance. So I'm totally with you. So, well, Mimi, it has been a real absolute pleasure having you on the show. I'm sure our listeners are looking forward to your solo show that you'll be doing starting in about a week with your highs and lows of the week, and that'll be right here on the WWE podcast. So I'm really looking forward to it. Did you have anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap things up?
Yeah, again, I have one last quick question for you to get your thoughts on, and
sure.
Then I'll let you go. Survivor Series, like we said, there's a lot of, it's all about brand versus brand, so not a lot of, internal brand stuff going on. I know we got Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, there's a couple things here and there, but I think, kind of a perfect time to have some call-ups from NXT and start some new, get some new faces, start some new matchups on both Raw and SmackDown. I know you're not a avid watcher of NXT from what I understand, but I'm wondering if you have any idea, or if you could have anybody come up from NXT to the main roster after Survivor Series. Does anybody come to mind? Men and women.
Yeah, just because I don't watch NXT, I understand generally what's happening, right? So you're absolutely right. Like, I don't religiously watch it because I just don't have time. But if I was going to bring somebody up and they would kind of debut somebody, it's kind of an important time of year. We're ending the year and bam, it's Rumble season and we're into the WrestleMania. Unbelievably, we're only like a month and a half away from the WrestleMania season. It's crazy. But Adam Cole, I'd love to see him up on the main roster. I know Finn Balor's the NXT champion right now, but I think he's fitting in nicely. Adam Cole had a nice showing last year when they actually included NXT into the Survivor Series game. And I would bring Adam Cole. If I was going to just pick one, Adam Cole would probably be my pick.
Yeah, and I know they're having their War Games thing too, and the Undisputed Era just made their return. It's funny, I was thinking Rhea Ripley. Sounds like, after Io Shirai, and I think that kind of Charlotte Flair NXT experiment was kind of a failure. It did its job, but I'd love to see Rhea Ripley bring some new matchups on the main roster.
Or Ember Moon.
She's almost kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like you know what, when you bring that up, it feels as if the women's roster it feels really thin right now. I don't know why. It just feels as if they're just kind of recycling the same women in and out, and I don't know. It feels like it needs a little bit of a refresh. So if they are going to bring somebody up besides the male component, yeah, I wouldn't mind a couple of the NXT women coming up. I really wouldn't mind, like you said. It feels like they need something new happening besides, again, Natalya and Tamina. It's it does. It kind of feels like chewing the same piece of gum for a while, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to move on. So Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. One that I don't think many people are considering is the NXT factor. That is really a non-factor this year, which is very interesting, to say the least. That they included them last year, and this year NXT is just, they don't exist. So.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that, but I'm sure it has something to do with the global pandemic. But I would love, like you said, I think that the women's roster seems very thin. I think, you had your 4 women, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha and Bayley, and now Becky's gone, Charlotte's gone, Sasha and Bayley are done with their rivalry, and you didn't really, creative didn't take any time to build any other credible, women's wrestlers here. So we're kind of left, like you said, thin. So, I would love to see Toni Storm, any of these.
Yes, Toni Storm. Oh, I love Toni Storm in the ring. She's amazing. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I guess they're too busy doing karaoke segments with, was it Jimmy or Jey Uso over the summer with the women? I mean, that was just, yeah. So I'm with you. Let's kind of shake things up here. And, I know Charlotte, even when she comes back, the thing with Charlotte, and I guess I'll close on this because I could go on forever, is that with Charlotte coming back, look, she's a huge star. She's probably one of the biggest women's stars WWE has ever had. No question. Future Hall of Famer. Yes, yes, yes. But with Charlotte, I feel like she gets worn out on my TV screen real quick. Like, because they take her and they put her on so many different segments. She becomes champion wherever she is almost instantly. It just feels like when they get her back, they pound her down our throats. And that's what I'm fearful of when they bring her back. Because I remember when she left, I'm like, oh, thank God, because she was on every single show. I mean, it felt like she was on NXT, she was on Raw, she was on SmackDown, and it's kind of like, okay, I need a break from Charlotte. So her injury actually came at a pretty opportune time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But don't worry, Matt. I mean, there's a brand split now, so you will only see Charlotte Flair on one show. Well,
thank God for that. I mean, and the best part about it is WWE actually, I mean, they adhere to everything that they do. And they explain, I mean, it's really, thank goodness that they are just, they enforce the rules to a T. So there is that. Well, thank God. So, all right. Well, I think this will wrap it up. I mean, we're crazy going on 2 hours of talking wrestling. That's what happens when wrestling fans get together. So, again, as I said earlier, it's been a pleasure. I'm really glad to have you as part of the team here and be able to talk to you and introduce all of our listeners to you. Again, you will be doing your weekly show starting this week with your ups and downs. And I'm looking forward to that personally. I'm sure listeners are as well. Did you have any shout-outs, any social media you want to share, anything like that, or no?
Yeah, I'm boring. I'm probably the most boring 20-year-old out there. I'm terrible on social media. I don't have Twitter. My Facebook's there so people know I'm alive. Instagram is not interesting. So I mean, if you want to reach me, you're probably gonna go through Matt and the email. But yes, I'll be on next week to talk about this week's highs and lows. We're just gonna talk about, like I said before, what's done well, what's not done well, what's just hard to watch, and like I think I said, how maybe it could have been better, if it can be saved, all that stuff. Just divulge into WWE's good work and some of the awful stuff they're doing right now. And
they always give you some of that to talk about. There's never, you always have the extremes. I mean, that's what I think is going to be great about this show, is that there's never a week that goes by that you're like, oh my God, that was terrible, or that was just awesome. I mean, they seem to give you the extremes, so that's great. All right. Well, if you are that boring, then send the message through me, guys. I mean, so trust me, we'll make it not boring. Send me the questions at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. But, Mimi, thank you so much for coming on. I know it's late. I appreciate you taking the time, certainly on a Saturday night, nonetheless, before a pay-per-view. So, I'm looking forward to this and looking forward to your show, and we'll have to have you back on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.